Alright, so video number 6, we're multiplying and dividing radicals. These are just a couple rules that you need to know, and once I go over them, you're going to be like, I already know this stuff. Alright, so the first part is multiplying, or the product property, right? What the product property states is that if you have square root of a times b, right, then you can basically take a and then separate that with b, and then have two separate types of radicals, right? So what this actually does, right, this actually helps to simplify equations, right? And if you guys remember, this is kind of like what we did when we were simplifying stuff back here, all right? Sorry, it's going all over the place. This is kind of like what we're doing right here. We had square root of 80, and then we kind of broke it down into square root of 8 times that. So what really is happening right here is that we have square root of 80, or square root of 8 times square root of 10, like that. It's just kind of broken down. I didn't write it because it gets all messy, but that's kind of like what's happening, right? The quotient property is almost the exact same thing. We have one big square root, so a divided by b, right? The radical, when you do this, it actually kind of breaks it down into two separate ones like that. All right, so let's look at an example of something like square root of 3 divided by 4, right? This is actually the same thing as square root of 3 divided by the square root of 4, right? And if we're to simplify this just even more, just one more step, just for the heck of it, square root of 3 we can't really simplify anymore, but square root of 4 is just 2, all right? So these are the couple of things that you guys need to know, and we can always go back. So we have this, right? We can always bring that back and put this together as xy, all right? Go backwards, go forwards, or whatever. So let's just look at one more example of this. Square root of 16. If we were to factorize this, simplify this, this is actually square root of 4 times the square root of 4, right? But we know that the square root of 4, square root of 4, this is actually 2, and this is 2, so this actually is 4, right? Maybe that was a little confusing. Let's do this again. So square root of 16 is broken down to square root of 4 and square root of 4, and remember, because this is a square, this is a pair, right? A pair of 4s, so that actually comes out and that just becomes 1 4, right? Or just like how I did it before, it's actually broken down 2 and 2, 2 and 2, right? This is one pair, so that becomes 2. This is another pair, so that becomes 2. So this is actually 4. I'm pretty sure that I just confused you guys, but let's move on. The last part is rationalizing the denominator, right? So that means if we have some number up here, as in it can be a square root or whatever, but if we have a radical down here, this is something that we can't have, all right? This is a big no-no, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take that bottom number, whatever that bottom radical is, whatever this is, and then multiply it to the top and multiply it to the bottom, all right? So what happens is when you multiply across, that's a square root of a over square root of a times the square root of a, all right? Here, we can't do anything up here, so it's just going to be square root of a, but we know that here, when we multiply the same thing, this just becomes an a, all right? So that's a rule that you guys need to know. If you're multiplying a radical by the same radical like this, that just becomes that. Alright, what that actually is, if we were to put this together, this is the same thing as square root of 2 times 2, right? And again, like before, like the video 5, here we need a pair, right? This is a pair, so that becomes 2. Alright? Let's look at another example. Say we have 1 square root of 3, right? We can't have that, so we're going to take the bottom, whatever this is square root of 3, we're going to take that and multiply it to the top and to the bottom. Alright, so the top part, 1 times this is square root of 3. This times this, so square root of 3 times the square root of 3. And again, here this whole thing, if I were to rewrite it, that's the same thing as square root of 3 times 3, right? And then we want a pair, so this is a pair that comes out. So the answer actually is square root of 3 over 3. Alright? I know that kind of seems confusing, but the more we practice it, the easier it's going to get. Alright? So let's look at a couple examples. So I'm just going to do the middle ones. For the sake of time, I know these videos get long, so I'm going to just do the middle part. So here we have 2 square root of 18 times square root of 75, right? The multiplication rule, we just saw that if we're multiplying these, we can actually put it under one thing, right? So we have 18 times 75, right? So before you even multiply it, we got to simplify this, right? So don't multiply it. Leave it like that. I'm going to keep the 2 out here, all right? And then I'm just going to write a big one. Here, 9 times 2 gives you 18, so I'm going to break that down to 9 times 2, right? Here we have 25 times 3, right? This is all being multiplied. And let's break it down even more. I'm just going to keep switching colors, so make a big one. So this is 3 times 3. This is 2. This is 5 times 5. And then this is times 3, right? If you guys can see, all I'm doing is breaking it down each and every single time until we can't break it down anymore. Alright? This right here, we can't break it down anymore. We need to square root all this stuff. So remember, we're looking for a group of 2. Right? So we have 2 out here already. And this equals. This together is a pair, so that comes out, so that's 3. This together is a pair, so that comes out, that's a 3, right? This 2 is all alone, and this 2 is all alone, so we're going to leave that inside 2 times 3. Alright, let's simplify that one more time. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18, and then 2 times 3 inside is 6. Alright, so this is your simplified fraction, or simplified radical. Alright, again, you guys can combine it and put it all under one radical, then simplify, break it down all the way until you can't, and then combine the pairs outside, leave the loners inside. All right, let's look at this complicated looking one. So we have square root of x7 to the, or y to the 7 z to the square times square root of x squared y z to the third, right? Just like the property that we saw, we can put this all under one big one, right? So we have x times 7, or y to the 7, I don't know why I keep doing that, z to the second, x squared y z to the third, right? If you want, we can combine some of these, so this times that, and then this times that, this times that, alright? I have a feeling all those lines just confuse you, so let's do it one by one. X times this is x to the third, right? Y7 times that is y to the 8th. And then z squared times z to the third is z to the 5th. Alright? So let's look at this. Let's break this down. This we have 1, 2, and 3. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then for the z's, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright? Sorry, I should have done that in blue, but whatever. So let's circle our pairs. Remember, this is a square root, so we're looking at pairs. That's 1, so that's x. There's 1, 2, 3, so that's y to the third. There's 1, there's 2, so that's z to the second. Oh, there's another one right here. That's 4, sorry. This should be a 4. Alright, so what's left over? There's 1x, he's left over. There's 1z, he's left over. So we have a square root of x times z. Alright? And that's your final answer. You don't need to do any more than that. That's it. Alright, so for h, we have the square root of x squared divided by y to the 4th. Alright? And I told you that in this rule, alright, in this rule, I don't know what just happened there. So in this rule, we can divide this x squared all over y square root of y to the fourth, right? So the top part, let's do the top part. This is the same thing as x times x over y, 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 and y. Alright? So if we were to keep doing this, this is one pair, so that comes out, so we have an x, right? We have 1 and 2 down here, so that becomes y squared, and that's it. That's your answer. Alright, so the next part is k, 3 square root of 6 all over square root of 15. Let's just write it bigger over here so we have a lot more room. So square root of 6, square root of 15. To be honest, we can't really break down 15 or 6, but we can simplify this by rationalizing the denominator, right? So that means we can't have this guy down here, right? So what we're going to do is take that whole thing and multiply it to the top and multiply it to the bottom. Alright? So that means the top part is 3 square root of 6 times square root of 15 all over square root of 15 times the square root of 15. Alright? We already know that the bottom part, square root of 15 times square root of 15, is just going to be 15, right? Again, it's a pair right there, so it becomes 15. The top part, I'm going to leave it as 3 square root, I'm going to put one big one, 6 times 15. Alright, so don't multiply it, leave it, because we got to simplify it anyways, right? Let's have a little bit more room. I'm going to take this top part and then let's figure that out over here. 6 times 15. Let's break this down. This is 2 times 3, right? This is 5 times 3. So here we can't break it down anymore. So here we have one pair, and this is a weird circle. So we already have this 3. That becomes 3 times this pair now becomes a 3. This and this stays inside, so it's 2 times 5. This is the same thing as 9 times 10, right? So our answer, and we're going to put that back on top, is 9 square root of 10 all over 15. Alright? So hopefully you guys see or understand this. Square root of 15 can't be simplified anymore, so we have to multiply it to the top and bottom to get rid of that square root. Alright, so it becomes 15. The top part we can still simplify, so I did that down here. Square root of 16, or square root of 3 square root of 6 times 15. Break it down, we get this guy. There's only one pair, so that 3 comes out. With the 3 outside already, these 2 are left over, which is inside, so we have 9 square root of 10. I'm going to put that, and I put that back on top. This is your answer. If we were to take this thing one step further, the 9 and the 15 can be reduced, so that actually becomes 3 square root of 10 all over 5. Alright? Hopefully that's easy to understand. If not, please ask questions. Try the other ones as examples, and please do your homework and ask questions, you guys. Don't just sit there thinking that you don't understand. Ask questions. I am here to help. Alright?